Okay, last episode we talked about systems of linear equations, and we had a key point that we wrote down on our worksheet, which is worth writing in our notes here too, and that is that a solution to a system of linear equations makes both equations true and is a point on both lines. In other words, the intersection point. So when we have a system of equations, let's make an easy one up. Let's have y equals 1/2 x plus 3, and let's have y equals 5, a horizontal line. So if we go ahead and graph these two, here's my line y equals 5, and then 1/2 x plus 3, I'll start at a y-intercept of 3 and use a slope of 2. So I can see here this point represents my solution, and that is the point 4, 5. It makes both equations true. Obviously it makes this one's true because the y is 5. If I plug in 4 for the x, 1/2 of 4 is 2, plus 3 makes 5, so it works there. So my solution is that point 4, 5. Now, there are other things that can happen when you have a system of equations, which kind of goes back to the last thing we did in chapter 5. Besides having that one solution, that one point of intersection, think about what might happen if you have two lines, like say y equals 1/2 x plus 3 and y equals 1/2 x minus 1. Just gotta think about what kind of lines those are. So you notice they're parallel lines, no solution. So when there are parallel lines, the system has no solution. You can think of a lot of examples of that. Here's another thing that can happen though. Suppose we have these two equations. Now y equals 1/2 x plus 3. That we graphed before. What about this line? Let me see if I can put it in y equals form. Well, notice that when I put it in y equals form, it's the same line. So there's another line right on top of this line. In this case, we have overlapping lines. So every single point on this line is a point on both lines, since they're the same line. So all points on the line are solutions. Now, the first and most common example is when we have just one solution. So there's a lot of ways this can happen. Let's just make up an equation. So that one is y equals negative 1x plus 2. And we'll make another one that's, say, y equals 2x minus 1. Here is the solution. It's the point 1, 1 in this case. So you either have one solution, either if you have parallel lines, you have no solution, and if you have overlapping lines, then every point on the line is a solution. This is going to help you in the group activity on Wednesday.